I don't drink. I gave up drinking when I was 18 years old. We've done a video about this. But comments keep coming up on it. And it's cool. I like it. I keep getting comments on those videos with people saying that they enjoyed it and they have loads of questions for me. So as we are doing the week-long series of vlogs, go and check out the one yesterday about Johnny Sins if you want to know the reasons why. I was like, well, we can return to it. Why can't we return to it? There's no rules. I can do whatever I want. I'm a grown man. Too old, really. Death is coming. Too much. Retract that. But no, don't. If you haven't seen that one and you don't really want to go and watch it, which is fine, we're all busy. Yeah, I got drunk once in my life, which was on the eve of my 18th birthday, and I hated. You know what it's like. You wake up, you have a hangover. Oh, I'm never going to drink again. But I've always been quite strong of mind, strong-willed, and I didn't. I never drunk again. I gave it up. I was like, this is not for me. This is not. I just knew it wasn't. And I had drinks before, like I had beer and whatnot. But I remember the first time I had a beer, thinking, I don't think this is for me. I didn't enjoy the taste. I didn't really enjoy how it made me feel. And yeah, there was just a bunch of stuff that was happening where I was like, I don't think I want to do this. That was the big takeaway. I don't think I want to do this. But I went along for a little bit and like, man, I got really wasted on my 18th birthday. Shout out to my man, Michael Conquest. He may watch these, I don't know. Poor guy had to take care of me the next day. Still look back. I don't know if they do that anymore, but I'm repeating a lot what I said. They used to do these like rectangular Wotsits. I think they were called Wotsits waffles. If I ever saw one of them again, I would just throw up straight away. I cannot do those. So we will talk about that another time. But it does. I think the cool thing for me, especially now looking back, is I went through so many years of being terrified about telling people that I didn't drink. Like terrified. I felt like I was judged for it. I felt a little bit like I was bullied for it. And I kind of felt like people looked down on me for it. When I first started getting jobs out of university, so we're talking about early 20s, I was just, I don't know, it's probably more on me than anybody else. But no, that's not true because the experience was born out of people being, what do you mean you don't drink? And my takeaway was always, I don't understand why you care. I don't care that you are drinking. You can drink as much as you want. I still went out. I wasn't a recluse. It just wasn't something I wanted to do. And I'm sure you would have read articles. I did the same thing. You have a bottle of beer, but you don't, you put it to your lips, but you don't drink it, and you just have that for the entire evening. And then an incredible thing happened when if you are in your 30s, you may have gone through this too, but you kind of get into your 30s and you're just like, I don't care anymore. I couldn't give two hoots. If somebody's going to judge me for not drinking, I'm just going to get on with my day and whatever, whatever. I don't care. And that's much nicer. Don't care is the wrong word. I just think you become more self-assured. And I knew I wasn't going to do that. And, it's not like a spear in the sand kind of a deal. It's not like I am adamantly against people that drink. No, it's just a personal choice. It wasn't for me in the same way like we do fitness videos here on the channel, right? And my big takeaway, or what I tried to be the big takeaway, clearly want a takeaway, I've said it about 9 times, is if you don't enjoy the gym, go and find something else to do. There's loads of stuff you can do. And for me, it was the same with alcohol. It was, I don't want to do this, so I'll go and find something else to do. And that was it. That was the long and the short of it. And around that same time, I was getting into fitness and lifting weights and going to the gym, and I realized, well, that's not contributing massively to that. And I'm far more passionate about, doing that than I am drinking alcohol. And I didn't have much money, so I kind of just pick and choose. And I was like, well, that one's more interesting, so I'm going to go down that path. And this is more for people that have asked me this very, very question. They said, well, why? I have the same experience, Simon. Why do you think people do that? And you're never going to know because it's always going to be subjective to the individual. But I do believe it's more of a reflection on them than it is a reflection on you. I'm not saying that I know that for sure, but at least a few people that I met in my life, in my experiences, I think it opened the question in their own brain that was, well, why do I feel the need to drink? And it was probably because they were using it as a crutch. And I can totally empathize with that too, because we've all had moments in life where we feel down or we feel sad and we're struggling to get out the other side. And if somebody slid a pill across the table and said, if you take that pill, you'll feel good, even if it's for 2 hours, you take it at some point because we all have a breaking level. And that's not, again, that's not 100% of the individuals that I bumped into, but I do think I think that's a response. I think that's what the brain does. And a lot of people do use drinking as a way to forget about their problems, or they look forward to it because maybe they're not very confident, and it reduces your inhibitions, right? And it allows you to run wild. The key is just, trying to get the strength of mind to be able to put yourself in those kind of situations where it doesn't matter. And I tell you, 2020 is a much more forgiving. It's not the right word. It's much more acceptable not to drink. Like it really, really is. You even see articles on the BBC. That's not saying that's a window into anything. But I've kind of seen it get to the point where society isn't as demanding that everyone goes out and get wasted. I went on dates, and when I told people they didn't drink, they looked at me like I just slapped their mother. They're like, what's wrong with you? Like evil rabbit boy. Don't know what that means. But it's really hard to explain. I just don't. And you almost kind of want some sob stories, some horrendous, oh, well, I saw this and I saw that and I had to go through that, because at least you'll have something they can maybe sympathize with. But I didn't. It was just whatever. I've made my choice and I'll go with it. So really, yeah, just for the people that mentioned it, it is hard. It is tough. And on occasions, you may even break a little bit and think, screw it. On this evening, it's far easier for me to have a drink than it is not to have a drink. So I'm just going to have a drink. And you'll do that. And maybe you'll enjoy it. Maybe you won't. But to me, again, if we're looking at it from a grand picture point of view, just don't judge anyone. That's my thing. Don't judge. If somebody wants to get wasted, awesome. As long as they're not in a point where you're worried about them and you think they could kill themselves with alcohol, or they're not wasting money, or they're not being irresponsible, go out and have a good time. But let people choose how they want to have a good time. Really, even with everything I've just said, sometimes I have moments of clarity where I look around, I'm like, why does anybody care? But it's because it's a societal thing. It's a societal thing. I'm trying to think of something that would be the equivalent. I guess if you just walked around in your pants. People just expect you to wear not more than pants. And if you're just wearing your pants, at least one person will go, can you please explain the pants thing? But no, gave up alcohol basically when I was legally allowed to drink alcohol. Should I say that on YouTube? Just said it. But yeah, and I've had drinks since. Like I'm not, like, oh, the ghosts, or anything. I've had glasses of wine, and I've tried the odd cocktail here and there, but not a big fan of cocktail. Wine's all right. But it's just not something. Now I've done it for so long. Have I? No, I haven't. But I've almost done it for as much as my life. No, that's not true at all. Just ignore that. Throw it away. My point is, yes, I don't mind having a sip here and there or a glass of champagne at a wedding. But even then, I'm like, no, this isn't me. And I think you can take a lot away from that. I think there's something really cool about life where you can discover what is you, and then eventually you get to the point where you're proud of yourself for your the pros and the cons and your failures and your successes. Like, it just defines you as a human being. I kind of talked about identifiers in the last video I did. Maybe that's the theme of this week, identifiers and things like that. So yeah, don't worry if you don't drink. Just don't worry about it. It's not that easy, and it's going to take time, but hopefully I can embed that in your brain a little bit. I would have loved someone to have said it to me. YouTube wasn't around when I was doing that. Old man. It was about to be around, but still. But yeah, who cares? Who cares? Just say that. Who cares? Who cares? You have to kind of sometimes feign confidence before it arrives. And don't forget, perception is reality. That's something that I didn't realize. Perception is reality. If someone had said, Miller, why don't you drink? And I just owned that moment, but I just don't, whatever, who cares? I would have diffused that situation, but I didn't. I was already nervous, so I lit a flame under it instead. And that is a hard skill to master, don't get me wrong. Again, it's not just, poof, I can do it. But I realize that now. You can control these difficult situations, or at least the ones that are difficult for you, just by being like, hey man, I got this. Don't worry about it. Let's get on with the evening. On that note, these rants are crazy. That's 2 for 2. I've just gone wherever I want, but who cares? Like the video, share the video. Please do subscribe. Almost at 100,000. I'm pretty excited. And yeah, I'll see you tomorrow.